A fiancé, the person you promised to marry. I once had a fiancé, but I wasn't going to live with him because of my sister. I was in the depths of despair at that time, but now I found new happiness. I want to make that clear to my sister and my ex-fiancé. My name is Emma. I'm not particularly beautiful, and I'm just a normal office worker. Back then, I had someone I promised to marry. His name was Mike. Mike was a handsome man who worked at a well-known company, and he was known as the good-looking guy. We were so happy back then, I thought that this happiness would last forever. But reality confronted me with a cruel result. I couldn't get married to Mike, and the reason was because of my sister. My sister's name is Evelyn. Evelyn has been interested in fashion since she was young. Even now, she still loves fashion. In fact, Evelyn was always concerned about her appearance and was always beautiful. Therefore, Evelyn has been popular amongst the guys since junior high school. She even modeled for a fashion magazine once. That experience made Evelyn dream of becoming a model. When I graduated from university and started working for an ordinary company, I was invited to dinner by a business partner. That partner was Mike. After exchanging contact with Mike several times and occasionally going out to eat, something happened one day. That day, after work, Mike invited me to dinner. Of course, I had no reason to refuse, so I went out to eat. On the way home that day, Mike confessed his feelings for me. I was surprised by his sudden confession, but I was also attracted to Mike, so we started dating. So 1 year after I started dating Mike, he proposed to me. I was so happy at the time. Of course, I accepted the proposal. Later, Mike and I went to my parents' house to report and greet them. My parents were, of course, overjoyed. We talked about the wedding and I was happy. But there was someone who wasn't happy. That was my sister, Evelyn. Evelyn was very surprised to see that I was getting married and who my partner was. Evelyn, who was more beautiful than me and often had men asking her out, always looked down on me because I didn't have much experience in relationships. I don't want my friends to know about how uncool my sister is. That was Evelyn's catchphrase. The uncool sister, whom she looked down on, was getting married before her, and to an elite businessman from a major company. That seemed to hurt Evelyn's pride even more, but I was completely unaware of Evelyn's feelings. I should have noticed Evelyn's attitude at the time. Suddenly, Evelyn asked Mike, "If you're going to be my brother-in-law, can we exchange contact information?" Mike and I had no reason to refuse, so we happily agreed. There were days when I was working late on handover tasks as I was planning to quit my job. And one day, when my parents were out of town on a trip, Evelyn took a certain action. In hindsight, it must have been a plan she had thought of from the beginning. Once I quit my job, I would move out of my parents' house and start living with Mike. So she probably wanted to execute her plan while I was still at home. First, Evelyn called Mike over to her house. "Mike, my sister suddenly came home because she got sick. My parents are out on a trip, and I'm scared to be alone. Can you come over?" Evelyn lied that I had come home early from work due to a sudden illness. Mike was just about to go home from work, so he hurried over to her house without suspecting about anything.
"I heard Emma was suddenly sick, so I rushed over. Where's Emma?"
Of course, I wasn't there. It's only natural for Mike to think that. But Evelyn said, "I'm sorry, Mike. I lied to you. My sister isn't actually sick. She's still at work." Upon hearing this, Mike didn't get angry at Evelyn, but asked,
"Why did you lie like that?"
I just really needed to talk to you, Mike." And so, Evelyn started to talk. When I finished work and got home, I was surprised. It was because Mike was there. But I didn't expect anything and was carefree, saying, "Oh, you're here." Then later, I was to experience the greatest despair and sadness I had ever felt in my life.
"Emma, I'm sorry. I want us to break up."
It was too sudden. I couldn't quite grasp the meaning of his words. You're kidding, right? Break up? What do you mean?" As I was questioning Mike, Evelyn appeared.
Emma, the truth is, I'm dating Evelyn. I'm sorry, Emma. I fell in love with Evelyn more than you.
While I was still confused and couldn't believe it, Evelyn said this. I'm sorry, but Mike and I are going to get married. I didn't understand what was happening. Then Evelyn continued. You might not want to come to our wedding, but at least come to the reception. After that, all I could do was cry. My fiancé was taken by Evelyn, and I was not wanted anymore. Both my father and mother were very worried. For a while, I couldn't leave my room. Since I had already resigned from my job, I had nothing to do. I received several messages from my colleagues at work asking when the wedding would be. I told them that we had decided to have a simple wedding with only our families. A few months later, I was in an unfamiliar place. I'm going to start my life with a new beginning from here. I want to be happy again. This time, for sure. After breaking up with Mike, I had been shut in for a while, but a certain emotion was born in me. Why do I have to go through this? I'll forget about that man and start over again. From there, things moved quickly. I talked to my father and mother and decided to leave home and live on my own. Living in a completely unknown place, but it's a very comfortable place with lots of green and tranquility. My parents didn't try to stop me, and they helped me a lot when I moved. After moving in and taking a break from the move, I heard the story from my mother. A few days after you shut yourself in your room, Mike came. I heard everything that happened between you and Mike. And then she apologized in the end. I didn't understand why my parents were apologizing.
Of course, what Mike did is unforgivable. His parents came to apologize too. They even got on their knees to apologize. But you see, we also heard about Evelyn. We know you can't forgive her, but Evelyn is our precious daughter too.
My parents told me. Both my father and mother had been troubled about what happened. Mike did something terrible to their own daughter. It's only natural that they could not forgive such a person like him. But despite what my parents said to her, it seems that Evelyn had gone to Mike. Since then, Mike had been coming to the house at the same time every day apologizing and asking them to accept his marriage to Evelyn. My parents had no choice but to accept Mike's actions. So that's why they apologized to me for acknowledging their marriage. Honestly, I didn't care anymore, but I understood my parents' feelings all too well. It's over now, it's okay. Besides, I'm going to meet someone even more wonderful from now on. I answered positively, holding back the tears that were about to fall. My mother was crying. My father had a remorseful look on his face, but he responded with a smile when I said, When I have a child, I'll rely on you both a lot. If anything happens, don't overdo it and contact us right away. My mother was very worried. Once I got used to my new life and had some peace of mind, I started working at a certain restaurant. It was a small restaurant with only a few employees, but it was very bright, and I really liked the friendly atmosphere everyone had. The manager's name was Noah, and he was always being teased by the part-timers. How they teased Noah was interesting, and it was very peaceful to watch. A few months after I started working, a fateful event that would affect my future occurred. Noah confessed his feelings to me. It was after the shop had closed, and he was giving me a ride home. I was honestly torn. Noah is a very good person, and above all, he is kind. His personality and looks are both so good that he is popular among women. But I was still haunted by that incident. I was scared I might be abandoned again. Perhaps Noah sensed my situation because he said that he didn't need an immediate answer and left that day. Things were a bit awkward for a while, but thanks to the usual interactions with the part-timers and the kind Noah, I didn't worry too much. Perhaps my heart had already made up its mind. At that time, I learned something about Noah during a break. It turns out that Noah had been betrayed by someone he was dating and had a terrible experience at the place he worked before this shop. Noah was the same as me. He had a past of being betrayed by someone he loved. That day, I decided to go home with Noah to hear his story. While we were walking home together, Noah told me his story. In fact, Noah had been in charge of a store before he came here. However, due to a certain incident, the store lost its credibility and had to close. And Noah was held responsible and got fired. After hearing his story, I decided to tell Noah why I came to this place. After the talk, Noah said,
"You did well."
Despite the difficulties, I stood up and looked forward again, and he said such gentle words to me. I was happy, and I realized that this was what I really wanted to hear, that I did well. I was betrayed by the person I loved and had a difficult time, but I got over it. Honestly, it was very hard. And I told Noah, "You did well too." And to this, Noah was smiling. And then I responded to his confession that day. "I'm like this, but I hope we can get along well." After that, I was teased more than ever by the part-timers at the shop, but I was really happy. "Congratulations! Wishing you both on your happiness for a long time."
It's too early for that line.
If you say it's too early, that means there will be a time, right? Then I'll say it again at that time.
Make sure you let me say it, okay? Otherwise I won't forgive you. Well...
Noah seemed a bit flustered. I was laughing. Everyone was laughing. I was really happy. Then one day, after so many days had passed, I received a proposal for the second time in my life. Of course, I accepted the proposal. I had the determination to be happy this time and believed that I could definitely be happy with Noah. And then I went to see my parents for the first time in a while. They were very happy. When I told them that I had told Noah everything, my parents said, "Please make our daughter happy."
"I will definitely make Emma happy,"
he answered clearly and confidently. We talked for a while, but then my father hesitantly said,
"It seems that Evelyn and Mike are going to have a wedding ceremony."
They might send an invitation, but my parents told me I didn't have to push myself. But I didn't care anymore, because I'm happy now. In fact, I wanted to show off my current happiness. When I told my parents that, they said, "If you say so, Emma. Noah, we're counting on you if anything happens." A few days later, I received a wedding invitation from Evelyn. Of course, I decided to attend. I wrote that we would be coming together. Noah and I, knowing that Evelyn was going to have a wedding ceremony, had already registered our marriage. Because we thought that it would be a burden on our parents and relatives if we had wedding ceremonies after wedding ceremonies. We swore to have a wedding ceremony when things calmed down. On the day of Evelyn's wedding, Noah and I were heading to the venue together. It was a long-awaited reunion with Evelyn and Mike, but somehow, Mike looked a little worn out. And at the family introduction, I introduced Noah to him, saying, "This is my husband Noah. He is my pride and joy." When I introduced Noah for some reason, Evelyn looked really surprised, which was quite memorable. On the other hand, I had something I really wanted to ask Mike. I wanted to ask about what had happened with him and Evelyn on that day when my parents and I were not there. At first, Mike seemed to have a hard time talking about it, but gradually he began to speak about it. On the day he was called by Evelyn, Mike, who found out that I was seriously ill, seemed to have decided to wait for me. Then, Evelyn brought some alcohol, really strong ones, saying that it was a good opportunity and offered it to him. Mike, who is not very good at drinking, seems to have gotten drunk after drinking about 2 cups. And Evelyn, seeing this as a good opportunity, started to seduce him. Mike, too, was drunk and lost his ability to judge properly, and ended up going along with the temptation. Evelyn is attractive. She has a good figure, and I guess it's natural for a normal man to be tempted by such a woman. But Mike and I were engaged. Nevertheless, Mike was seduced and began to get conscious of Evelyn. After telling me this story, Mike apologized many times, but at that moment, he looked very small to me. Honestly, I didn't care anymore. I was satisfied just to hear the truth. Meanwhile, Noah and Evelyn were also talking about something. I was curious, but since it was almost time for Evelyn's wedding ceremony, I decided to ask later. Then, on the way home, I asked Noah again. Didn't you seem a bit angry when you were talking to Evelyn?
I told you before, but actually she's the one who cheated on me when we were dating. Not only that, but she is also the reason why I was fired from the shop where I used to work.
I was very surprised. It's a small world, isn't it? And I was even more surprised to learn that she was the reason why Noah's shop had to close. I decided to ask him for more details. Apparently, Evelyn had been having an affair with a certain designer a few months after she started dating Noah. It seems that Evelyn, although dating Noah, thought it would be more convenient for her future to date someone in the industry to become a model. Noah, who accidentally found out about this, naturally got angry with Evelyn. However, Evelyn got angry at Noah and in return, they broke up. But Evelyn, who was still angry, created a fake photo of the food she had taken at Noah's restaurant, which had a foreign object in the food, and spread it around on social media. At that time, Evelyn was also an amateur model and had quite a number of followers on her social media, and the photo had quickly went viral. It also caught the eye of the boss who had entrusted the shop to Noah, and because the sales started to decrease, the shop was closed. Then Noah was held responsible and was fired. Naturally, Noah felt bitter because of what had happened. However, since he didn't know who the perpetrator was, he had nowhere to direct his anger. In the midst of this, he found out the truth when a friend of his invited him for a drink. His friend's girlfriend knew someone who knew Evelyn, and from that friend, he was shown a conversation about how a certain restaurant disappeared due to what Evelyn spread on social media. Of course, his friend did not know that the restaurant that disappeared was Noah's restaurant. Noah, who found the culprit in an unexpected place, couldn't do anything about it anymore, so he decided to start over alone in a different place. That's where he met me. I apologized to Noah. I'm sorry my sister did such a terrible thing. I'm the sister of the person who messed up Noah's life. I didn't know what to do. I seriously thought that Noah might hate me. But Noah said,
It's a thing of the past, and it's not your fault, Emma.
I was honestly relieved, and we decided once again to be happy together. Later on, Evelyn finally got her punishment. The place Evelyn visited for a photo shoot when she decided to do a gravure shoot. That place was none other than the place where we live at the moment. Surely, with all the greenery here, one could take nice photos. Evelyn seemed to be thinking of becoming a model using this experience in gravure shoot as a stepping stone. The incident happened at a restaurant which she visited for a meal. The restaurant was, in fact, Noah's restaurant. I had already stopped working at Noah's restaurant, so I heard about this later on. As soon as they entered the restaurant, both Noah and Evelyn recognized each other. Immediately, Noah said,
I'm sorry, I can't allow you to enter the restaurant,
and refused their entry. Naturally, the photo shoot staff members were angry and asked for an explanation. Noah explained everything that Evelyn had done in the past and what he had gone through because of her.
She has a criminal record, and there is solid evidence. I don't want to go through the same thing again, so I don't want her to enter my restaurant.
It seemed she couldn't say anything back to that, and Evelyn also turned pale. Furthermore, Noah said that he would tell the president of the company where Evelyn was about to join all about her past. The person who recruited Evelyn was surprised upon hearing the story, and he asked Evelyn to quit, but Noah couldn't control his anger. In the end, Evelyn lost the gravure shoot deal, and the news of her past incidents spread in the industry, crushing her dream of becoming a model. No one would want to deal with someone who had caused such a huge scandal in the past. Moreover, I heard from my mother that Mike's company performance had been deteriorating recently, and he was now a candidate for a demotion. It seems that even my mother was worried about what would happen to these two in the future. Despite such an incident, Noah and I continue to live happily every day. And today is our long-awaited wedding day. Both Noah and I have had difficult times in the past, but now we are very happy. Inside my belly, there was also a new life growing. Congratulations! I wish you both happiness for many years to come. Colleagues from the restaurant where we met were saying a line I've heard before, while they laughed to us. Thank you. And then Noah and I swore in front of everyone that we would always cherish our family and always be happy.